Bonkers climbing watts, male skincare techniques, questionable descending, snot bubbles, sooky Chris face, responsible service of alcohol. This is Amy's Gran Fondo, the UCI Gran Fondo World Series edition here in Australia.
All right, good morning. We are in Lawn. Amy's Gran Fondo is about to kick off. We had a bit of hail here yesterday. We're straight into a climb, right, which you'll see. But then there's this 50k middle section, which is you kind of up at around 500 meters above sea level, and it could be cold and it could be damp. If it wasn't for that bit, I'd just go full NERO suit and just let it all hang out. That's like, I think what he's thinking.
Well, I can't put a gilet on moving at 50k an hour anyway.
But can you do a 180 turn at 50k an hour after dropping your bottle?
All right, so we'll head down to the start line.
The start line here in Lawn, Victoria for the 122 Ks, 1800 metres of elevation Gran Fondo. And straight out of the door, you are on board with myself in the 40 to 44 age category. This is the biggest participation event in Australia this year. Huge numbers that you can just see there. That's on the start line. But what do we face today? So this is the elevation graph of the day. It starts with an FTP test. We go straight up a 20-minute hill, literally straight out the door. From there, it's this sort of plateau-y section, which is going to be very cold after the hail yesterday. Then I'm into some unknowns. So you can see the elevation has a lump to it, but I don't really know what it looks like. The run home, I've never ridden it, I've driven it. It's the iconic Great Ocean Road with all that stuff. My goal, qualify for Worlds, race it as a race, and potentially podium my age group. Pretty straightforward as far as goals go. Right, let's kick this off with this FTP test. Straight out the door, 20-minute climb. This is what it looks like. The Benowin climb in full. It's long, but it's not steep. As far as my tactics go for this climb, I just want to be in the final selection at the top of this climb. And if that means riding hard on the front, then that's fine, because it's going to be a difficult sort of place to move up. And you'll see that was that first little attack. You'll also see people we're passing people, and that's the other age groups. That's going to be a common theme throughout today's video. Now, I got a feeling stuff's about to happen, because I'm doing sort of solid watts here, and people are riding away from me. And this is where you do start to identify people. So Certified Weapon Watch is alerted. We have a very lean AF individual up there. He's on a Scott foil, and I do recognize that kit. Now remember, I don't really know any of these people. This is, for those of you not in Australia, this is Victoria. It's a very different riding scene to what I'm used to. And so you do fly a little bit differently when you're sort of racing people that you don't know. But this dude is clearly fast. And as I said, I do sort of know that team. I know a guy who was on that team years ago, and he's a absolute human lung machine. As you can see, as we kicked this off, the first 5 minutes was solid as, like, proper solid. Now, I said this originally, this climb isn't particularly steep. You do get a big draft. So actually causing a big split in a really fit group, a big fit group, is a challenge. And you'll see how the Certified Weapon really does that almost single-handedly as we go along. I think I'm just putting this bit of footage in to show that I wasn't sitting on his wheel the whole time. There's probably no other reason that I'm putting this in. But no, okay, it sets up what's about to happen, which is, at the time I was pissed about it, but Certified Weapon does Certified Weapon things, and he's, attacking me on the front, and in the moment I'm there going, what is this dickhead doing? Like, we're trying to work, but we have to go harder, and if he has more gas here and just whacks it, maybe we can drop some more people, because ultimately, as this plays out, you're going to see there's not many selection points in this entire event. So this is it. Make the most of it. And so that's through my first 10 minutes. You know, 3/4 of that is probably sitting on Certified Weapons wheel here. And he's going to continue to attack, which is fine, until we hit really the plateau section.
Yeah, fuck it.
Sure.
Okay, so the camera picked up some of that chat, essentially saying, guys, let's work. You know, it reached the point where the four of us were sort of attacking each other a bit and it wasn't really working out, but let's just put some watts down and get over this climb. And that is the gap that we had over the main group behind. Basically a minute. So we had a minute over a really solid chase group. Obviously, we didn't know how many people were in it at the time, but the guys who had done this before were well aware that we needed as much time as possible, because you can see there on the right, this is how it plays out. It's not really a straight descent, it's pretty rolling. So we go straight into rolling turns, and to be fair, all four of us, the top four here, go straight into it. Bike check while I have you. Yes, Cervelo S5, size 54 frame, Dura Ace with a 5440 1134. Fun fact, never shifted into the big small ring in this entire event. Reserve 50/60 wheel, set up tubeless with Conti 30mm tyres front and rear, Fondo Hubbard spec stickers, all front and centre, and 55 PSI front and rear. Now, if you came here for a chat of why is a Gran Fondo a race recap video, don't bother. We had 40 minutes of that on the NERO show. If you want to go check that out, I'll put the link down below and you can rant about that as much as you want. But this is where it gets interesting in a Gran Fondo, because here you have the four guys from our age group and we're catching guys 2-3 age groups in front, and it really changes the dynamic. Our plan was to try and blast through the age groups, because if you catch people and they just sit on it, just makes this huge group, and then there's a bigger group for people behind to chase. So, which is what we try and do. That's Jono on the front, and we're sort of far right, trying to blast through the age groups. But that's easier said than done. Massive shout here to Fresh Crits of Melbourne. He provided me some additional footage. Massive shout to him. I will, of course, link to his channel down below.
Super weird dynamic now. There's four of us from our age group. We're now mixed with a group of about 60 guys. There are two age groups in front. So it's very weird now.
Speaking of weird, I promised you male skincare techniques.
A couple of boys. Well, up. So talk us through the process, Jesse.
Base layer is an athlete's gel. Athlete's gel is like a Denkerung.
If you've ever been in a rugby dressing room, you'll know the smell.
And then over the top, goanna oil, final weight, Antonio Albert muscle warm-up oil.
Oh.
But this one's got a orange tint to it. So this gives you the tan that you need. Final layer. There we go. A bit of a bronzing if you're coming out of winter.
There's some information you never knew you needed to know. All right, so back to the race. And yeah, this is an unknown section, and we're in a big group. At this point, there has been at least 12 to 15 guys from our age group catch the group that we're in. It's more of a peloton with 3 separate age groups in it. But we're in the most selective part of this last climb. The 10-11% section is just coming up. The certified weapon has gone to work, and we are all in. Absolutely all in to try and split this race up as best as we can at this point. Back to Fresh Crits' footage, and you can see us sort of slightly starting to pull away. But again, this dynamic, right? Because he's not really in my race, but he's kind of welding us for other people who are in my race. Anyway, that's another chat. But just as you see, there we are, and we're essentially teammates now, Weapon and I. Like, if we can break this up now, we can potentially get away from not only Fresh Crits and his mates, but the guys that we're racing in our age group. But those crit riders in Melbourne, they're strong, and he's welding us back, and it's like this is it. This is one of the last selection points to try and break this up. But as you can see, guys are filling holes. It's sort of cresting out. This is not gonna break up. Sorry. Now, today's video is brought to you by Insta360, and what I want to do today is specifically show you how I use the Insta360 Go 3S to shoot this video from this bike race. I don't mount anything to the bike, so what I do is I use their magnetic pendant and I put that underneath my base layer. I will then zip that up over my NERO suit, and I will attach the easy clip to it, which is also something you can attach to a hat. I then put the Insta360 Go 3S in that magic easy clip, and I've got the ability to change the angle. And as you can see, it actually allows me to use different video forms. I use the Freeform Video 4.3 so I can edit it in post afterwards. I also run the battery pack in my back pocket, so at downtimes during the event, you'll often see me do this, I will actually take it out of the easy clip and put it into the battery pack at the back. Now, if you would like to grab an Insta360 Go 3S, I have a link down in the description, and I really want to thank Insta360 for supporting this video so I could make it. It's funny, looking back at this race now, I'm not sure I would do things the same way. There was a lot of energy being expelled here to try and break this up on, as I just continued to stress, a not particularly selected part of the course. But I think there would be ways to do that, but just riding really hard on the front, which is the kind of Fondo way. I get that. But as we crest what is the final climb, it's pretty clear. I mean, with the 60 guys, 3 different age groups, and we're all going to basically bomb down the other side and run into home from here. So I'll be honest, at this point, I'm just thinking, cool, I've ticked off my goal of qualifying at this stage, top 4, easy. I have no idea how many other people from my age group are here. Probably 20. Going to be some bunch chaos at the end. Let's see how it goes. All right, this descent, I got to say, handled absolutely brilliant. You're descending with 60 guys you don't know. Chapeau to everyone who did it. It is a beautiful descent, I have to admit. I'd love to go back and do this fully recreationally, but I got to call a few guys out. All right, so you're just chilling, everyone's happy, but there's always one guy, isn't there? There's just one guy who thinks he's Vincenzo Nibali, but he's just not Vincenzo Nibali. And what annoys me about it, like, he just decides to take completely different lines to everyone else in the bunch, but he's not going anywhere. Like, you're not suddenly going to be descending and getting some massive gap at the bottom. In fact, this whole descent, he just now sits just there, like 4 or 5 wheels in front of me. Why did he have to do that? Okay, you could argue maybe I was sitting too far back off the wheel of the front guy in front of me, but I stress that, like, the camera does sort of make that a little bit. And okay, if you're going to dive bomb me, don't do it in the tops like this. No. Again, not going anywhere. Like, that's the front right there. The 60 guys back there, you just... And then, what line is that in the tops? I don't know. Like, sorry, just had to have one rant. Can I just have one rant in the video? There it is. And there he is, sitting out there, doing nothing. All right, get over it, Chris. Run for home. So this is the run along the coast to Great Ocean Road. It's the drone footage you see. But for a bike race, this is not selective, especially when you're in a big group. Now, we did have a sort of cross-taily wind, which you could have thought would actually help to break this up, but it again is just really, really fast. That said, there are a couple of headlands that do have little lumps on them, and I used a couple particularly, but this one really worked. And what was good here is I got away with someone in my age group. So we actually got a gap here and pressed on quite well into the corners. Big shout to this guy in front. He'd actually come across from New Zealand to qualify for Worlds. Spoiler alert, he does. And yeah, we actually get a good gap.
So what's happened is we've got guys from 18 to 34 age group riding hard on the front because they're trying to catch people in front. Which means like me and the guy in front of me here is in my age group. No point us attacking because we're going so fast. And then motivated to chase.
So as I said, big bunch finish was coming, and I got pretty into it. I got in the zone. You know, somehow you're either in the zone or you're not in the zone to have a sprint, and I decided that I would. I got so into the zone that I actually forgot to turn the camera on at the end. Sorry, everybody. So we've flicked to Jesse's footage just to kind of give you an idea of really what this run-in was and similar kind of speeds as you can kind of see in that run-in. But yeah, I'm going to have a sprint. And it was as chaotic as I thought. Held position right at the front and managed to kind of roll across the line in front of what was, 60 guys, which was sort of nuts in the end. And big shout to my coach in the black there who kind of positioned me, really. Not in my age group. There's a chat that we had on the show. All right, let's have a look then at the numbers breakdowns. Yeah, so 3 hours, just under 300 normalized, solid bike race, really. I mean, that's kind of what those numbers say. Obviously, that beginning was the hardest part. I do want to show you this, though. So I've quote-unquote won the sprint, but didn't even do 900 watts for it. Says a lot, really, about the course and how that played out. But again, that's another chat. Big shout to the two boys on the podium with myself. Interestingly enough, if you're considering this event in the future, both those boys were dropped on the climb and came back. They were only a minute back, but they came back and got the result. So, awesome ride from those boys. For those that missed the chat on the show, Jesse did qualify as well after Bottlegate, so he'll be back in 2025, as I will be. 2025, the World Championships will be back in Lawn for the Gran Fondo series. We're packing up our bikes. We'll see you. We'll see Jesse. We'll see everyone then.